Pep Guardiola has won everything that there is to win, and even though Manchester City have not had the best of seasons so far, Pep Guardiola is still the best manager of all time. So in this video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Pep Guardiola's career, and we're going to be tier ranking every single one of his seasons. It's going to be a bit of a long video, so get your popcorn, get your drinks, get ready, because we are going to be tier ranking the hell out of Pep Guardiola's career. I have to give some context. Look, Pep Guardiola, his D tier is probably a lot of managers' A tier, but we're going to make it only based on Pep. So it could be some D seasons, it could be some C seasons, A seasons, S seasons, whatever it is. Let's just get into it. Okay, season 1, the 2008-9 season. Now, this season is really special for Pep Guardiola. It's his first season at a top club. To be fair, 07-08, he was at Barcelona B and he did some crazy numbers there. But what I love so much about the season, and to give you some context, this was Barcelona's treble year. This is the season that Barcelona won everything. We're talking La Liga, Copa del Rey, Champions League. I think they did the sextuple actually. I think they won every single competition that there is to win. And coming off a season beforehand where, look, under Frank Rijkaard, it was Thierry Henry, it was Ronaldinho, it was Deco, it was an emerging Lionel Messi. And I feel that Barcelona just lost their way that season. They got knocked out of the semi-final of the Champions League to Manchester United. They finished third in La Liga. They finished behind Villarreal, who albeit were very good in the season before. But Pep Guardiola had a thing to do. He had a task at the start of the season. And look, I think when you're getting rid of a manager who's won so much, such as a Frank Rijkaard, and you're replacing him with a manager like Pep Guardiola, it's really challenging. And the first interview, one of the first things that Pep did right away is that he wanted to bin Eto'o, he wanted to bin Ronaldinho, he wanted to bin Deco because of their lifestyle, because of their habits, because of their attitude, and he thought that these players won't fit into the system that Pep Guardiola wants. And even though he got rid of Ronaldinho and Deco, he kept Eto'o, he stuck to his word. And that season, I think that season was probably the season that revolutionized football in the way that we see it. It was the emergence of tiki-taka. It was the emergence of kind of moving away from the more physical side and really honing in on the tactical side of the game and the technical side of the game. He put a lot of faith in the likes of a Sergio Busquets. He built the team around Lionel Messi. Samuel Eto'o was shifted to the right side. Thierry Henry, who was a striker, he moved him to the left wing. And I think that season was kind of when people started taking note of Pep Guardiola. Of course, they need to take note of him. He beat Manchester United in the final. And when you beat an English club in the final, especially Manchester United, you are rated. So for me, you're thinking about the 6-2 against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Xavi and Henry went crazy that game. And then the Champions League final. Look, Barcelona completely dominated that game, even though United started off well. 87 points in La Liga, 105 goals scored. Messi ended up getting 38 goals, 18 assists of all competitions. Look, I think this season, it has to be an S. It's a treble winning season. Any treble, any Champions League winning season is going to go automatically into the S. Sorry, spoiler alert. So let's move into the season after 2009-2010. So I feel like this season, 2009-2010, how do you improve on perfection? How do you improve on literally winning every single competition? Well, Pep Guardiola decided to sign Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Kurginski from Shakhtar Donetsk, who to this day is a transfer that I don't know the reason for. Maybe he saw something in there, because I remember Barcelona played Shakhtar maybe the season before. I just don't know what he saw in him, but he really decided to shift the entire team's approach to build the team around Zlatan. And how did that go? Well, to be fair, in Pep's mind, he wanted a physical focal point. He wanted something to really be a reference point for the likes of a Messi, for the likes of a Xavi, for an Iniesta, for a Busquets, and really build the team around him. And this is the season as well where Pedro emerged. We saw glimpses of it in the season prior, but this is the season where Pedro really came to the fore. He really came to the world class, the elite level, and you saw it in the World Cup. Obviously, Pedro had a big role to play in the World Cup for Spain. And when you think about this season for Pep Guardiola, 99 points, and Real Madrid were really good that season. I feel that exit in the Champions League to Inter really put a blemish on it. I feel that there was a lot of stigma back in that time, thinking, okay, maybe Pep Guardiola, he doesn't have a B plan. He doesn't have a B plan, a plan B. So I think that season, look, semi-final of the Champions League, yeah, 99 points is a lot, but there are a lot of good seasons coming. I think I'm going to go B tier for this season. Yeah, B tier for this season. I think it was a really good season, but what was that quote that Zlatan Ibrahimovic came out with? You signed a Ferrari and you played him like a Fiat. Things just didn't work between them, and you really saw that dynamic really disintegrate into the season. So I'd say I put this in the B tier. 2010-2011, we are going into the best season of all time, probably the greatest club side we've ever seen. And I think this season, I don't need to speak too much about it, it's going to be an S tier. I think Pep Guardiola that season, I think that's just the best team ever. When you look at the likes of Dani Alves, Piqué, Puyol, Abidal, and then in the midfield, Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta. On the left, on the left is David Villa, who joined Barcelona in the summer prior. Up front is Messi. On the right is Pedro. Oh my God, what a team. I think that team just completely revolutionized football. But this season, low-key, is probably the best season of all time. When you think about Madrid, Barcelona of the recent generation, everyone thinks of this season. I feel that this season and potentially the season after was when the rivalry was at its peak. Pep versus Mourinho, Messi versus Ronaldo, Iniesta versus Ozil, Ramos versus Piqué. There's just a debate in every single position. I think everyone really tuned into La Liga. I can't remember how much La Liga, I watched so much La Liga that year, and I just feel that that season was probably one of the pinnacles of the Barcelona generation. And when you think about the key moments, the key standout performances, you have the 5-0 at the Camp Nou. Even Jeffrey scored that game. Then it's the 2-0 against Real Madrid in El Clasico. There was like a period I think towards the end of the season, I think Real Madrid and Barcelona played each other like 4 times. Once in the Copa del Rey final, which they lost to Real Madrid, and then twice in the Champions League, once in the league. And yeah, I think that season, it was just unbelievable from Pep Guardiola. That's the season that you really just put up in the upper echelons of every single managerial career. This is the easiest S tier ever. Where would I rank it above these? He's won more trophies here, but this team was categorically better. I'm going to go with, yeah, this is what we're going to go S tier for Pep Guardiola, and this season, 08-09, it's going to be ranked second. Now we go into 11-12. Now this is the farewell. Look, Pep Guardiola's 4th season, there were a lot of cracks that seemed to appear. That perfectionism, it really took a toll, not just on the players, but on himself as well. And I feel that this season he really tried to implement a new tactical system, because with the incoming of Cesc Fabregas, who was flirting with Barcelona for like 3 or 4 years before that period when he moved, I think what he wanted to do was create a diamond system so that he can take advantage of Cesc Fabregas' best qualities. Alexis Sanchez also joined that season as well. And when you look at that season, I feel that they didn't win the league. I believe they won the Copa del Rey that season. But I feel that, yeah, for me, that season, 11-12, especially getting knocked out to Chelsea in the semi-finals, and that Chelsea team, although they had the heart, they had the spirit, they were playing with 10 men at the end of the day, and they just couldn't break them down. For Pep's standards, for Pep's quality, I think I'm going to put that here, because they lost the league title to Real Madrid. They lost the Champions League semi-final to Chelsea, and I just feel that that moment, that was the time that Pep Guardiola had to leave. Although they did win the Club World Cup that year, yeah, that season, I'm going to go with a C tier. And then we go into the sabbatical, right? Like, I put this here because this was like a refresh. It was a re-energizing. So we're going to put the sabbatical season into an A. No losses, no goals conceded. I really feel that the sabbatical season really, really helped Pep Guardiola cement himself. Bro, I'm joking. I can't put this here. I can't be that serious. Let's just move on to his first season at Bayern Munich. So here we go, 2013-2014. This was his first season at Bayern Munich. And to be fair, I think with him in this season that he really came into the Bundesliga with a lot of pressure. He inherited a treble winning squad under Jupp Heynckes, and you kind of think about the situation where anything less than perfection, anything less than a treble, it's a failure for Pep Guardiola. So how did he do that season? I feel that this season as well, this is where we kind of see another shift, another revolution in football with inverted fullbacks. David Alaba and Philipp Lahm was coming into midfield a lot more often than normal. I feel that this season, 70% possession, we're talking they wrapped up the Bundesliga title in March. But when it comes to this season, one thing that we have to speak about is the Champions League defeat to Real Madrid. I feel that competition, especially after the 2011 Champions League, it was just embarrassment after embarrassment for Pep Guardiola. And this year, 5-0 to Real Madrid. Any team that posed some kind of threat on the transition, they just cooked against, they honestly just cooked against Bayern Munich. And I feel that this season, 70% possession, broke a new record in the Bundesliga. So this year, I'd probably go B tier, but if that's I have to move this up into the A then, 2011 or 2009-10. This season, Yeah, I'm gonna go with the B tier. First season in Dortmund, revolutionized Philipp Lahm in his position. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the B tier. At least they won the league as opposed to this season here. Let's move over to 2014-2015. So in this season, from what I recall, it was a big tactical shift from Pep Guardiola. There's a lot of injuries in the Bayern Munich team 2014-15. So instead of building up through the middle, he wanted to find his wingers early. And then when you have the likes of Prime Robin, Prime Ribéry there to cook, I feel that's where it is. But there was also a lot more rotation in midfield. You have Thiago, who joined the year prior. You have Xabi Alonso, who joined that summer. You have Bastian Schweinsteiger. They really wanted to emphasize control. But when you have the likes of Schweinsteiger, there's a lot of verticality in the team. And then you have the main man, Robert Lewandowski, who joined from Borussia Dortmund that summer. I feel that the Bayern team was primed to win a lot of stuff. So what happened? In the Champions League, they got knocked out in the semi-finals to Barcelona. Everyone remembers that Messi goal against Jerome Boateng. But I feel that game was really, really weird. He went man for man all over the pitch. When you have the likes of a Neymar who can break any tactical structure, Bayern Munich got destroyed at the Nou Camp, but he came back to win 3-2 at home, but it just wasn't enough. Yeah, they won the Bundesliga in April that season. They conceded a record low 18 goals and they got knocked out of the semi-final in the German Cup. Oh, I'm being quite harsh here, but this is going to be a C tier. I think towards the end, we're going to start putting more in the D/A tier. But yeah, that's defo a C tier for me. And then his final season, the 2015-2016 season, Douglas Costa joins the team. Bastian Schweinsteiger finally leaves the club where he made his name at. And I feel that this season was kind of just the season for Joshua Kimmich. I feel that summer you were missing Toni Kroos, who obviously left in the 2014 summer window. And when Robin and Ribéry are getting much older, you have the likes of a Kingsley Coman, you have the likes of a Douglas Costa who could really take their place, and then David Alaba really coming into midfield a lot more alongside Joshua Kimmich, who played centre back, he played right back, he played central midfield. And what happened that season for Bayern Munich? They won the German Cup of penalties, they won the Bundesliga title, which is automatically more than the season before. But what happened in the Champions League? It was slightly rocky against Juventus. They got past them in extra time. And then in the semi-final, in a crucial match against Atletico Madrid, Thomas Müller missed a penalty, and then Antoine Griezmann got Atletico Madrid through on away goals. Yeah, this was a good season. I'm going to put this in a B. He won 2 trophies at least. Joshua Kimmich really made his name that season. David Alaba really stepped to the fore. It was Kingsley Coman's season. And then, yeah, I just feel that season, it was there for Pep, but he just couldn't get the job done. He hasn't won the Champions League yet. And then he joins the Premier League. 2016-17, he joins Manchester City. And what happens there? I feel that this season was a baptism of fire. When you have an aging team, when you have an aging Yaya Toure, an aging Kolarov, an aging Gael Clichy, an aging Bakary Sagna, an aging Vincent Kompany, an aging Otamendi, an aging Joe Hart. Look how many agings I'm saying. And I feel that for that team was not good. It was not good compared to Chelsea. It wasn't good compared to Spurs. And I feel that this season is the first D tier season. Round of 16 exit to Monaco in the Champions League. They got knocked out of the FA Cup in the semi-final. They didn't win the League Cup. Everyone was labeling Pep Guardiola a fraud. I remember at that time there were articles coming out saying that Pep Guardiola could not hack the Premier League. So unfortunately, this is going to be the first D-tier season. And now we have this season, the Centurion season. This automatically goes into the A tier. What a team. That summer outwon the aging fullbacks, and in came Kyle Walker, Danilo, Benjamin Mendy, and then Zinchenko emerged as an option to play at left back. I feel that this season was Pep Guardiola's probably the best football that we've seen. And I feel that season, when you have such a balanced team, Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Leroy Sané, Aguero, Raheem Sterling, what a team that was. And that was the team that broke the Premier League points record, and it still holds to this day. Pep Guardiola and Manchester City that season were genuinely unplayable. But, and there's a big but here, they won the Carabao Cup against Arsenal in the final. They got knocked out by Wigan in the FA Cup, and they got knocked out by Liverpool in the quarter-final of the Champions League. Yes, I said that was an A. I'm a bit iffy. This is a low A, high B for Pep Guardiola. but I think the 100 points just takes it over, and I think that is going to be an A-tier season. And now we move into Pep Guardiola's most underrated season. We're going to be talking about the 18-19 season. This was probably the most intense title race we will ever see. Manchester City finished on 98 points, Liverpool 97. If we think about some of the moments from that season, we think about Mahrez's missed penalty against Liverpool. We think about John Stones' clearance off the line. We think about Vince's company. No, Vinny, no, Vinny. We remember that goal that he scored against Leicester right at the death of the game. And I feel that season, 98 points, 95 goals. Raheem Sterling was unplayable that season. 25 goals in all competitions. Leroy Sané was amazing. David Silva was amazing. And I feel that season as well, it was the year that Gundo really made his name. In the absence of a defensive midfielder, in the absence of Fernandinho due to injury problems, Gundogan started the final stretch of the season at defensive mid, and Pep Guardiola and Manchester City really went to another level. They won everything that you could possibly win in England. We're talking Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. But what about that Spurs game? Look, if it wasn't for a handball by Llorente in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, I think this probably would have been the greatest season ever, full stop. So for that reason, a quarterfinal exit of the Champions League, we're going to go into the A tier. After such a high, after such winning seasons, we have to put the 1920 probably into a D tier for Pep Guardiola. I feel that season, it was just injury ridden. It was just a bunch of problems. Fernandinho was injured a lot. Rodri came into the Premier League. He really couldn't find his name. He couldn't find his avenues, his spots in the Premier League. They did win the Carabao Cup that season, although they did get knocked out in the semi-final to Arsenal in the FA Cup. And then we all remember that game against Lyon in the Champions League. I feel that season was a season where there was just a bunch of transitions, but if you look at the underlying numbers that year, they performed much better than Liverpool, even though Liverpool went on to win the Premier League with 99 points, who wrapped up the title probably like by Christmas. So I just feel that season, it was Kevin De Bruyne's best year, 20 assists, he almost broke the record. But I feel that season for Pep Guardiola, 81 points in the Premier League, ton of injuries, just a ton of bad performances in the Premier League as well. I just think about Norwich for some reason, how Manchester City lost to Norwich right in August. So yeah, for me, this is going in the D tier. And then we have the COVID year, the 2021 Premier League title. They started off the season really slowly, but they recovered like crazy. They went to dominate. I think they won like 13 games on the bounce in the winter period, and they reclaimed the Premier League and they won the Carabao Cup. It's their tournament after all. But I feel that this season was the season of the false nine. It was the season for Foden. It was the season for Gundo. It was the season for all of these players to shine. And yeah, for me, it was that year. So 2021, I remember they got knocked out in the semi-final of the FA Cup to Chelsea. They obviously got to the Champions League final, but for me, I just feel that season, they didn't reach their zenith, they didn't reach their peak, and they were kind of reaching the end of a lot of plays. Fernandinho was reaching the end. It was Aguero's last season. I think I'm very happy putting this as a B tier season. The 21-22 Pep Guardiola season, this was a riveting race, but I feel that this season, it was really up and down. When you win the Premier League on 93 points on the last day, it was actually such a top season. It was the season that they were still trialing and erroring from their striker. Sometimes it was Sterling there, sometimes it was Foden, sometimes it was De Bruyne. But for me, what I think about this season, it was De Bruyne, especially in the second half of the season. I think after March, I think after April, this is when De Bruyne went absolutely crazy. I remember his 4 goals against Wolves. So for me, especially when you think about the FA Cup, they got knocked out in the semi-finals. I believe it was to Liverpool, and they got knocked out of the semi-final by Rodrigo. It wasn't even Real Madrid, it was Rodrigo who scored 2 last-minute goals and then a Karim Benzema penalty. So for me, this is not a C tier season. They ended up getting 93 points. I'm very comfortable moving this down, actually, but they only won 2 trophies here. So I'm gonna have to switch these around. 22-23 Premier League season, or Pep Guardiola season, we are definitely putting this in an S tier. When you win everything that there is to win in terms of major trophies, you have to put it into the S tier. And I feel that this season was Pep Guardiola's tactical shift. They were really struggling in the first half of this season. It was Cancelo, it was Bernardo Silva not really finding his role, it was a ton of injuries. But especially into the second half of the season, when you have that 3-2-4-1 formation with Stones coming into midfield, when you have De Bruyne, when you have Gundo in the half spaces, Grealish and Bernardo Silva out wide, and Haaland up front. Haaland was unbelievable that season. When you think about a Pep Guardiola team, he really adapted that system. He really adapted that team to accommodate for Haaland's strength. He wanted to focus more on releasing him early, quick transitions, precision crosses. And when you think about their defense that season, especially in Europe, we all remember that semi-final against Real Madrid, the reigning defending European champions at the time. They completely dog walked them at the Etihad. So yeah, this is the most obvious S-tier season. I think it's better than 08-09. I think we're gonna put it like this. I'll deal with the final rankings towards the end, but I think that season was unbelievable from Pep Guardiola. And here we come to the present day, the 23-24 Premier League season. Now, only one trophy. They did only win the Premier League that year, but it was a tough fight against Arsenal, especially in the second half of the season. Arsenal were really good, but City were just better. And when you have really big linchpins in the team, in the likes of Riyad Mahrez and Ilkay Gundogan leaving the club at the time, there was such a dearth of creativity. There was a dearth in leadership. There was a dearth in control in some games. But who was there to step up? Obviously Haaland, obviously Rodri, but this was Foden's season. And Pep Guardiola, he wanted to manage Foden's minutes. He wanted to manage Foden really getting to the upper echelons of European football. And what happened for Foden? PFA Player of the Year, Premier League Player of the Season, although I feel that Rodri should have won it. But for me, that season was unbelievable for Foden. Probably carried Manchester City to the Premier League that season. But do I think it's better than any of these seasons? I don't. It's definitely not an A tier. Is it a B tier season? I think I'd probably go B tier. Was it better than 2021? I think Manchester City, this team that Pep Guardiola set up, was probably better than 2021. So we're going to put this down one. We're going to put this one in B tier. I think we're going to put this season here. And we're going to swap these two. I think the 2021 season is probably the worst title that Pep Guardiola's won. I know, worst title. But actually, no. This season, 11-12, you can't go winningless without. I can't put you up here if you haven't won a trophy that season or if you haven't won the league title. But I feel that we're going to swap these two. 11-12, I'm happy to put that there. 2021, I'm happy to put that there. Do I think this season was better? Yeah, I'm going to swap these two just because it's the Premier League's harder league to win. Yeah, so I'm going to put this season here. I'm going to put this season here. 21-22, I'm happy putting it here. 2015-16, Joshua Kimmich season, I'm happy to put that there. I think the first Bayern iteration was probably the best team with Mario Mandzukic up front. Or was it this one? No, Rebel Lewandowski. Yeah, I'm going to put that one there. A tier, am I comfortable doing it like this? No, this has to go. The 2018-19 season is very, it's sad to miss out on the top list, but I have to put it there. 2009-10, happy to put that there. Wait. Sorry. Okay, I'm happy with this. And then I'm happy with this. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. So this was a super long video, but this was the Pep Guardiola tier ranking from 2008-09 to 2023-2024. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below in the comments which season I got wrong. Should I have put the sabbatical in the S tier? I'm going to put it in the S tier for now. If you want to do this tier list, I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you guys enjoy these style of videos, and we'll see you very soon for another video. Take care.